Welcome back to PGA Updates Hub. And right now, the Memorial Tournament is already creating more drama before a single shot has been fired. And trust me, once you hear everything that is happening behind the scenes, you are going to understand why this week at Muirfield Village feels completely different from what anyone expected just a few days ago, because three massive names have either withdrawn or walked away from this event, and the stories behind each one of them are going to shape the rest of this entire PGA Tour season, right up to the US Open and beyond. So let's get into all of it right now. Let's start with the number that should immediately tell you how special this field is supposed to be, because two former champions at Muirfield Village are taking a pass this week: Collin Morikawa and Viktor Hovland. And when you combine those two absences with what happened to one of the hottest players on tour this season, you start to realize that the Memorial Tournament 2026 is going to be remembered as much for who isn't there as for who actually wins the trophy. Start with Collin Morikawa, because this one genuinely stings for golf fans who understand what Muirfield Village means to his game. Morikawa tweaked his back at the Players' Championship in March and has not been the same since, despite finishing tied for 7th at the Masters and tied for 4th at the RBC Heritage. Now, those are results that most players on this tour would celebrate without question. But if you have been watching Morikawa closely this season, you can see it in his movement, you can see it in how he carries himself between shots, that something is not right. And the people closest to him clearly see it too, because with the US Open just a couple of weeks away, the two-time Memorial Tournament runner-up is likely still taking it easy before the year's final two majors. And that is the smart play, no question, but it doesn't make it any less disappointing, because Morikawa at his best, on a demanding ball-striking golf course like Muirfield Village, is one of the purest pleasures this sport has to offer. And this year of all years, with the 50th playing of the Memorial Tournament and a field absolutely loaded with the best players in the world, his absence leaves a real hole that cannot be filled. Then you have Viktor Hovland, and this one came with almost no explanation at all. Hovland, a former winner of the Memorial, also pulled out, and the European Ryder Cup star did not provide a reason. Now, when a former champion pulls out of the exact event he once won, without saying why, people start paying attention and they start asking questions. And right now, nobody has a clear answer, which makes it even more interesting. Heading into this week, Viktor Hovland was another surprise name, not included in the field this year, which means he misses the Memorial for the first time in his career. Think about that for a second. First time in his entire career he is not at Muirfield Village, and nobody knows exactly why, and that mystery is going to follow this week, all the way through Sunday. But here is where the story goes from disappointing to genuinely heartbreaking, and that is the Jake Knapp situation, because what has happened to this man over the last few months represents one of the most brutal reversals of fortune we have seen on the PGA Tour in years. Knapp started the 2026 season with strong momentum, and in his first 8 starts, the world number 40 registered 7 top 12 finishes and was in phenomenal form, 7 top 12 finishes in 8 starts. Do you understand how elite that is? That is not a player getting lucky on a weekend, that is a player who has figured something out at the highest level of professional golf, and looked like he was going to keep doing it all season long. Knapp has finished tied for 11th or better in 7 of 8 tournaments in 2026, and his scoring average ranked 2nd on the entire PGA Tour, 2nd on the entire tour, behind only Scottie Scheffler, and people were starting to genuinely talk about Jake Knapp as one of the biggest stories of this season, and then everything stopped. Knapp suffered an injury to his left thumb and wrist around the RBC Heritage, and since then the 32-year-old has missed 2 signature events and a major, the PGA Championship. And now add the Memorial Tournament to that list, because in the weeks since suffering a strained thumb, he has been forced to pull out of 6 straight events, including 2 $20 million signature events and the PGA Championship 6 straight events. Gone, just like that. And right now there is no official update, no target date, and no indication of when fans will see him compete again. What makes this even more painful is who Jake Knapp is as a person, not just as a golfer, because many fans following his story this season know that he was carrying something far heavier than a thumb injury into every single round he played this year. Last September, he lost his girlfriend McConna White, who had been with him for 2 years, and was frequently seen supporting him at tournaments throughout his rise on tour. He shared a deeply emotional statement after her passing, and when you watched him go out and post 7 top 12 finishes to start 2026, you understood that there was something driving him that went beyond statistics and prize money. That comeback narrative was one of the most powerful things happening in professional golf this season, and now the injury has taken even that away, at least for now.
With the US Open coming up, Knapp will certainly hope to feature at Shinnecock Hills and return to action. And every golf fan watching this season needs to be rooting for that, because this tour is simply better when Jake Knapp is in the field competing every week.
Now there is one more player whose name you need to know right now because of everything happening this week, and that name is Sudarshan Yelamaraju. Yelamaraju, 24, reached the PGA Tour via the developmental Corn Ferry Tour and is enjoying a spectacular campaign with multiple top 10 finishes, including a standout 5th at the Players' Championship in March. And now, because of Knapp's withdrawal, this marks the Canadian's 4th appearance in a $20 million event this season. 4 appearances in the biggest events on tour for a 24-year-old who largely taught himself the game by studying YouTube videos of Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy. That story alone deserves its own full video, and we will get into it. But for now, just know that Sudarshan Yelamaraju is walking into one of the most iconic venues in professional golf, and he has already proven multiple times this season that he belongs. So here is where everything stands heading into this week at Muirfield Village World. Number 1, Scottie Scheffler headlines the 72-player field and is attempting to become the first player since Steve Ballesteros to win the Memorial 3 consecutive times. Rory McIlroy is there, Xander Schauffele is there, Cameron Young is there. The field is elite, even with the absences, but the conversation around this tournament is already bigger than what happens on the leaderboard, because the players who are not at Muirfield Village this week are going to have a direct impact on what happens at the US Open in 2 weeks and what happens in the major championship race for the rest of this season. Morikawa protecting his back means he arrives at Shinnecock Hills either fully healthy and dangerous or still managing something that could cost him a major championship run. Hovland's unexplained absence means nobody knows what to expect from him for the rest of the summer. And Knapp, whenever he finally comes back, is going to have to rebuild momentum from scratch at whatever event he returns to, while the rest of the field has been sharpening their games week after week. That is the real story of the 2026 Memorial Tournament, and it is already one of the most compelling weeks of this entire PGA Tour season before a single player has even reached the first tee. If you want every update on the Memorial Tournament and everything happening in professional golf right now, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join PGA Updates Hub, because we are going to be covering every twist, every withdrawal, every leaderboard move all the way through the US Open and beyond, and you do not want to miss any of it.